is Kyoto. Right after our trip to Osaka, we took the train here. And honestly, the vibe changed completely. Kyoto is calm, it's quiet, and it kind of makes you slow down without even trying. There's so much history here, so many temples, shrines, narrow alleys. It just feels like a totally different side of Japan. In this video, I'm gonna take you along as I explore the city and try to capture some of that feeling through my camera. I'll be visiting a bunch of cool spots, some famous, some hidden, and sharing how I try to compose my shots as a photographer who's still trying to figure things out. Alright, let's walk around Kyoto together, take some photos, and see what we find.
I think we found something great.
We arrived early in Kyoto and got to our accommodation before check-in time, which was at 2 p.m. Since we had some time to spare, we decided to walk around and explore the area. The area we stayed in was greeted by two rivers. One looked like a canal, but is actually a small river called the Takase River, and the other is the much larger Kamo River. This instantly set my expectations for Kyoto. It already felt so beautiful and different compared to our time in Osaka. We started off exploring the Takase River, just wandering around without a clear destination. I took a few photos along the way, nothing particularly striking, but I think of them as warm-up shots. After walking for a while, we eventually reached the Kamo River. Here are some of the photos I took. One of my favorites is a simple shot of a person walking beside the river. The subject is centered slightly toward the bottom, and I really like the calm, minimal feel of it. We also crossed to the other side of the bridge to see what was there, and I took these photos. In the first one, your attention is drawn to the two people walking beside the river. It was a nice bit of timing. Their dark clothing stood out sharply against the soft pastel tones of the scene. In the second photo, I noticed that the bridge had a railing that created an interesting framing effect. It almost looked like a cinematic black bars, adding a unique perspective to the shot. We walked along the river to see what we could find and whether there was anything worth taking photos of. The first photo I took feels somewhat similar to one I captured earlier from the bridge, but this time the perspective is from underneath the bridge, giving a more grounded and immersive feel. For the second photo, I moved closer to the bushes and captured an angle that includes the river, a second bridge in the distance, and a row of buildings on the left. The architecture is a blend of modern and traditional styles, which really adds character to the shot. After climbing back up from under the bridge to the street beside the river, we came across a beautiful scene where the branches naturally framed a small waterfall as the focal point. What I really loved was how the cherry blossoms added to the charm of the shot, perfectly framing the scene and guiding the eye towards the mini waterfall. While walking along the street, I spotted an interesting scene, a couple sitting beside each other by the river. What I love about this photo was the natural framing I found. The cherry blossom branches and the bush on the left formed a shape that looked like a heart around them. I also took a portrait version of the shot, cropping it so that the couple is positioned in the lower left corner of the frame. This allowed me to capture more of the branches and cherry blossoms, while still keeping the couple as the main focal point. We stumbled upon this temple or shrine. I'm not even sure which it was. But since we had nothing else planned and nowhere specific to go, we decided to check it out. We explored a bit around the temple grounds and ended upon spotting a heron relaxing by the pond. That actually turned out to be the last photo I took that day. We were pretty tired by then and just wanted to check in at our hostel. The next day, we visited some shrines and temples, exploring well-known places in Kyoto and some nearby areas. We arrived at Fushimi Inari but didn't go too far inside. After looking at a map, we realized there would be a lot of walking, so we decided it was enough to just take photos of the famous Story Gate Tunnel. On the way to the train station, I spotted an interesting torii gate in the distance. I took a photo of it and later cropped it to make it look more cinematic, if you know what I mean. I love how the bright red gate stands out, and I somehow managed to capture two people walking toward me, as if they just passed through it. I really love how this photo turned out. We also walked through this temple. Nothing too special, but it never hurts to snap a few photos while passing by. In the distance, we finally spotted the pagoda at Kiyomizu-dera. I found this interesting spot where I could capture the upper part of the pagoda framed by the rooftops in front of it. I experimented with a few different crops to play with the composition. In the second photo, I tried a portrait shot with more negative space above, letting the sky and clouds balance the image while keeping the pagoda as the main focus. For the third photo, I cropped it to create a visual balance between the pagoda and the golden ornament on the rooftop. I like how the shape of the roof leads the eye and make both elements feel connected and balanced. While looking into the distance, I noticed an interesting subject, a stone pagoda standing right in the middle of the frame surrounded by trees. The background shows the cityscape and mountains of Kyoto, along with the sky and clouds above. I like this shot even though it's simple. The layers of nature and city make it feel peaceful. We finally arrived at Osaka Pagoda, and as expected, there were a lot of tourists. I took a simple photo just for the memory. I couldn't really find an interesting composition at first, but when we came around to the other side, I found a much better angle. In this photo, I managed to capture the scale of the pagoda a bit better. It's not the best shot out there, but it's probably my second favorite photo of this spot. We just kept following the path without really knowing where we were headed. And from a distance, I came across this view. I like how the two trees naturally frame the pagoda. Even though it's partially hidden, it still stands out as the subject because it's perfectly centered between the tall trees. Overall, I really like this photo. It's probably my favorite shot of the Osaka Pagoda. We decided to visit Ginkakuji Temple since we didn't really have anywhere else to go. That was our last stop for the day, and we headed back to our place to rest since we've been waking up around 4 a.m. every morning since we arrived in Japan, from Osaka up to now. We decided to take it easy for the evening. Later that night, we had some ramen, which was quite delicious. Every ramen shop here has its own unique flavor.
Oh, I come to hands on the wheel of my 13.
On the third day, we visited the Arashiyama bamboo forest and nearby places. We woke up early to enjoy the place before the crowds arrived. This was the first photo I took in Arashiyama. Just a simple shot, but I like it as a warm-up shot for the day ahead. We walked across the bridge and I wanted to capture the pathway. I managed to get a shot of someone riding a bike through the frame. Again, nothing too special, but I liked how it turned out. I also took another photo just to emphasize the pathway and the view. If you ask me, it looks really peaceful. We eventually arrived at the bamboo forest, but unfortunately, other people had the same idea. There were already tourists in the area. Still, I managed to take these photos. This is by far my favorite photo from the forest. I like how cropping it this way keeps everything organized and draws the eye to the house in the distance. Even though it's partly hidden by the bamboo, your focus naturally goes straight to it. I also love how the dried leaves in the foreground add depth and texture to the shot. We didn't really explore too much in the forest and eventually decided to head to the nearby monkey park. Before that, we came across this view of the lake and decided to relax for a bit and take some photos.
You had to break the news. Life won't stand in line for you. Time is dripping through the stars. Now
I really notice and love all the different shades of green in the trees here. It's something completely new to me since I haven't really seen a view like this back in the Philippines. Nobody told me that visiting the monkey park came with a bonus uphill hike. I thought I signed up to see monkeys, not to climb a mountain. Just so you know, my knees have been crying since Osaka and clearly didn't sign up for this either. But when we finally made it to the top, the view and the monkeys made it all worthwhile.
Vediamo come si riguarda di prima funzione. Se mirano, non si mirano.
I spotted this monkey sitting on the roof and I knew I had to capture the moment. For this shot, I used the negative space of the sky and clouds to draw the viewer's eye to the subject. By placing the monkey and the roof in the lower right corner, I created an unbalanced composition that feels more dynamic and gives the image a sense of openness. Even though it's not a conventional framing, the empty space helps emphasize the monkey as the main focus.
I've lost track of the things that you hold back.
I grabbed one last shot of the view over Kyoto before my knees reminded me that going downhill hurts just as much as going up.
But there's never enough time to see.
While we were waiting for the bus to our next stop, I noticed this scene and quickly grabbed my camera. I just love how the couple was sitting there, taking in the view. I framed them in the center with the tree branches above to add a bit of depth. And I like how the bridge on the right and the mountains in the back make the whole scene feel calm and cozy. We eventually arrive at Kinkakuji Temple. Despite the large crowds, I focus on finding interesting angles and spots to capture the iconic golden pavilion. I like to use natural elements like trees and branches to frame my shots and add a sense of depth and context. By layering the pavilion behind foreground elements, I try to guide the viewer's eye and make the scene feel more immersive rather than just a flat snapshot. Day 4 was our last day in Kyoto. We only had one activity planned, to experience the samurai way. You'll see why in a bit. But before that, I snapped this shot of Kyoto Tower. I like how the sun hit the side, creating a little reflection that makes the photo pop. We grabbed some breakfast before heading to our next stop, the place where we'd experience the samurai way. It was a fun activity we found online that caught our interest because it let us check off 2 things from our list: wearing a kimono in Japan and pretending to be a samurai for a day. We were practicing a short choreography for our video shoot later. I'll show you my edited version in a bit. But first, here are some photos of me in the kimono with the katana.
Mate! 貴様の命、いただきに参った。成敗。
And that was Kyoto. Looking back, this part of the trip really slowed me down and pay attention to the details. The shapes, the lines, the way light hits traditional structures so way different here. It challenged me to be more intentional with my shots, and honestly, it helped me grow a bit as a photographer. If you haven't seen the Osaka video, that was the start of this whole trip, and it gives a nice contrast of what you have seen here. After Kyoto, we made our way to Tokyo, and that brought a whole new set of challenges and inspiration. And I'm excited to share it with you. So be sure to like this video and make sure to subscribe so that you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.